Hey everybody, this is Renae from The Space Between, and you are listening to The Space Between podcast, the show that lets you listen to how the fans feel about the music, the art behind over 30 years of the Dave Matthews Band. Stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Space Between podcast, the podcast where we talk about the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. Each week, I bring to you a new fan of the Dave Matthews Band on the show to tell about their journey with this band who has almost been giving us music for 33 years. So I'm going to let my guest this week tell us who she is, where she is, and then tell us how in the world did you find the Dave Matthews Band?
Well, always a pleasure. I'm glad that we could link up again and you have me on your wonderful show.
Yes, thank you.
No problem. Melissa Wanjek. Most of everybody knows me from my previous show, the number 41 podcast. And I am from Philadelphia, born and raised. And I am a follower of Dave Matthews since 2008 is when I got in. Yeah, I didn't know who Dave Matthews was. So I had a friend, a good friend of mine, over 20 plus some years. Funny story, I was best friends with her and her sister. Well, don't ever be best friends with sisters when they're fighting and you don't know what's going on. Yes. Apparently, I got roped into her sister's lawn ticket because they weren't talking. I found that out after the fact. But reason I got roped into Dave, I was in a very bad place in 2008. I had some really bad things happen in that past year and a half, and I just didn't want to, leave the house. My days were dark. A lot of mental health issues then too. And I mean, that was a year after I turned 21. And my friend, she's just like, we're going to go to a concert tonight. I'm like, huh? And I just didn't want to leave the house. And she's like, no, we're going. And I'm like, who are we even seeing? It's like, she's like, Dave Matthews Band. I was like, who? Like, I didn't know.
He was off your radar. They were off your radar.
I was an emo alternative girl, like I still am, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so I didn't know a single song. I didn't know what to expect, but, with enough convincing, I said, okay, fine. And it was me, her, and our best friend, Julie, and the three of us went, and it was the opening note that saved my life. Like that band, I owe that band my life. I really do. I don't know what I would do without the music of Dave Matthews Band.
Let's dig into that a little bit. What is that? And I'm not asking for like personal information, but like if someone's listening to this and is unfamiliar with, music, even having healing properties to it, what was it about not only the music, but the band, maybe even the lyrics? What was it that you claim saved you? How did it help you?
It was just, it was magic. It's like, it's a magical feeling. It's like, I felt dark, and hearing Dave's voice and the entire band and just listening to the lyrics for a band I'd never heard of and songs I never knew existed.
Yeah.
Bring light. It shined light back into me. It woke me up. And it, like, I truly say, like, music is the therapy of my soul. Like, and I think a lot of people agree to that. People will sit and listen to music just because you just listen to music.
Yeah, but
then there's us, people like us, who actually understand the music, like, so and I think it was like, I say they were my saving grace. I think I was meant to go on a journey and find that band in the music.
So would you say that like that night something clicked inside of you that was like, I've never experienced this feeling before?
Yeah. I mean, I remember going home after that concert and whatever downloading platform we had then.
Yeah. Who even knows? It's
I
changing
remember
so much.
downloading every single Dave Matthews song I can get my hands off of. Like I did a search like online and downloaded every single song, and I spent hours and hours of just listening. And like I think it was like I felt like I had an epiphany like for my own self.
Yeah.
Like and like I remember like sitting there just crying to the lyrics because I could resonate with everything.
Yes.
Like it
Yes. And
was
isn't it amazing how, like, and you can probably and tell me if this is true as far as your journey with the bands, but it seems like at times other songs will stick out when they never had before, right? Like it's like the songs find you at the perfect time, and then it's almost as if you can see, I mean, it is, for me at least, I see the song in a whole different light, and it does something different to me at that bookmark, of like whenever that I heard it for the first time. And I guess that's what I would say is like, how we listen to music, but only sometimes do we hear it,
yep,
and that
absolutely.
click. Does that make sense, or is that total bullshit? I'm not for
No,
sure.
no, it makes perfect sense.
Okay.
Like and and I mean, and you're right. Like there's times, there's certain studio tracks that I like.
Yeah.
But
Oh
then
yeah.
there's certain live songs that are better. Like it's just
Oh,
like it
100%.
and it's like and everybody will still ask me to this day, they're not Dave Matthews fans, will be like, why do you go to so many shows? Isn't it the same thing over and over? No, it's a brand new show. It's a brand new experience every night.
I think that's really hard to understand, especially if you've never heard of this concept, right? Like if you've never experienced a concert where it truly was like what we're speaking of, different every single time, even if they sing the same set list, it's going to be different. I think that would just be really hard for outsiders to understand because it's so uncommon, right?
Oh yeah.
And the only thing I can compare it to is, and I saw a TikTok about this, and I thought it was so smart because while I knew these two facts, I had never like thought of putting it together this way in my head. She said, one way that I can kind of explain the amazingness of the Dave Matthews Band to younger generations is to compare them, and this is going to sound weird at first, but let's compare them to Taylor Swift. And here's how we're going to do it. Taylor Swift, every concert, every night that she performs, pops in a secret song. Nobody knows what it's going to be. Nobody knows what it's going to be. And that creates this magnetic energy, and almost like the fans from last night brag about, well, we got this. And she said, okay, take that tiny little feeling from one song that you're going to get, that's a complete surprise, and completely multiply that throughout the whole concert every single time. And that's the Dave Matthews Band. And I was like, oh my God, that is the perfect explanation that my daughter can understand, right?
Yeah. I mean, if that couldn't be any more true, oh my God, like absolutely.
Yes.
And I mean, I'm not gonna deny it. Taylor Swift is, I mean, she's pure talent.
She's great. I love her. I'm a big fan. I wish I could afford to go to a concert.
I said this earlier to somebody today. I said, because somebody actually asked me, are you Swiftie? And I said, no. I said, I probably can, out of the 47 Dave shows I've been to, would pay for one concert of hers.
Right? I know.
Never.
I'm so excited for her because look at this badass bitch at 30, whatever,
34.
34. Yeah. She's a literal, with a B, billionaire. And she has gone down in music history forever. The way she's been able to like recoup some of her music back, to call it hers, and for her to own it, the things she's been able to do in her short little career, although it's been really long because she's been doing it for a while. You know what? I hope there's more women just like her in the future because she's slaying.
I watched her concert. Like I was, I had the flu during right before Christmas, so I was like, well, I'm stuck home, and they released it out, and I watched it, and I tell you what, it was great. It was fantastic. I mean,
it is a performance, right? Like she's definitely going to give you the same show every night.
Mm-hmm.
She is not a Dave Matthews Band. That's where she pulls in her secret song. But like her performance is almost like a combination of a concert and a Broadway play. Like it is very performed. And I love that. It's beautiful. It's art at its finest, but it is very different than
the
Dave Matthews Band. So, we won't talk about the Swifties anymore for those of you that are listening going, hey, I get enough of that from my 10-year-old niece or daughter or whatever. I listen to this podcast to hear about the Dave Matthews Band. So I apologize, but also you have to tell me that was a great comparison of Taylor Swift and Dave Matthews. I thought that was genius.
It was actually really great. I actually
was so smart. I give
like
none of the credit to myself.
It's a way to explain it to people when they ask. Like, it's perfect. I'm going to use that.
Well, you know what? It's not mine, so use it. Thank you, TikTok.
So I'm trying to think here. So, I had the group of people that did the whole Dave thing, but then my friends fell out of Dave. They fell out of the genre of it. Like they fell out of the thing. Okay, we did it. We lived. We're done. And that went from 2008 to about 2015, and I was left in a predicament. Do I still continue, or is my journey done? And I said no. And that's when I started going solo to Dave shows.
Yeah.
And I'll never look back. Yeah.
When was your first? When would you say, like, was it? Where? Or you're going to know exactly the answer to this. Where did you go first alone? What venue?
Camden. It was Camden.
Okay, so it was comfortable. Camden. It was close-ish to home.
Yeah.
So that's a good one for you. Now, do you remember the feeling that you had being alone at a concert, specifically at a Dave Matthews Band concert alone?
So it was a little worrisome, at first,
Sure.
I mean, very last minute decision.
Sure.
But I remember at that time it was night 2 Camden that I decided to go solo, because the person I was with at the time, he did night 1 with me, and it just didn't click it. Like, and I was like, well, I'm going, like, tickets paid for, and like, but I kept going back and forth. Is that safe? But somebody had invited me. So, and I think this is when I got into all the groups on Facebook too. I think that's when I started
down the rabbit hole.
Exactly. And I think it was, because I think it was about 2015 I started being in the groups. And somebody sent me a invite for the Tailgate Caravan.
Yeah.
Never heard of it before. And I'm like, you know what? Why not? And I met 2 of my guy friends that were that I would do shows with, in the past, and they were going. So, and I told them about this tailgate, and like, let's go, the 3 of us. I mean, but technically, I went solo because I was by myself, because I had a seat,
right.
And Kevin and Christine, I never met them before, but they gave me the most welcoming, like, open arms, and that was it. That's when I knew that my life changed right then and there forever.
Right. That's right.
And that's when I knew in that moment that I'm not alone at a Dave show. Like, I'll never be alone at a Dave show. And I'm okay with that. Like, I don't have to worry about being on somebody's time. I don't have to worry about another person. I am doing that for me. Like, I am enjoying myself. Not on somebody else's. Like, if you want to come with me, that's great. But I do me, you do you. I'll meet up with you. Like, I know where the car is parked. Like, I'll meet you there.
Right. Meet you at the car.
Right. Like, it's been an incredible journey.
Yeah. So it didn't stop you. You, after your first time, you went to several more alone. And so when was the first time that, you said you joined all the groups and stuff, and that's when really things start clicking, because that's when, if you're unfamiliar with the Facebook groups that are out there for the Dave, I mean, there's 1,000 of them in every direction. And there's one called People in Every Direction, PIED.
I think that might have been maybe one of the very first ones I had joined.
And then how random for me to.
And then it was DMB Family, and then the DMB, couch tour, and I think it just all took off. Like, and then
if you're in one, you're in 1,000 really quickly. But that's ultimately where you really start building your community, right? Because there are certain people that post more. That's when you start interacting on comments. You start finding out, hey, there's meetings, like parties before concerts. And so really kind of diving into those groups and the pages and even like the boards on the warehouse, it really does kind of starts you down a path of friendship, is what I like. That sounded totally like something the Smurfs would sing. It sounded totally corny, but like all that is also true, right? Because then you're going to end up meeting them in person. Probably gonna love hanging out with them, and then they introduce you to this person and this person, and then your community starts to build more. So I think that those groups are just they've been awesome for me. They've been awesome for you. I think a lot of people enjoy them. They can be time consuming. I know that. It is sometimes like a rabbit hole that you can't get out of. And then it's funny, because if you join enough of those groups and the pages and stuff, like when I get on Facebook, I don't know what your Facebook looks like. Everybody's is different, but like all that I see is Dave Matthews Band stuff. Like I don't have my mama's post ain't coming up. Nobody in my neighborhood. Like it's just straight Dave.
Especially with it being, the release of Summer Tour Day. Like it is just Dave, and I love it. It's like all summer, all Dave, and then I go sad because then I'm like, who are these people? Like, and I'm like, oh wait, these are my non-Dave Matthews people.
I know. Why
are they appearing again? Like,
it's because all the Dave people have gone to sleep. No, they never do. So let's talk about your community. I mean, because I know that ultimately you started a podcast about Dave. And so let's talk about how your community grew, and let's talk about your podcast and how that like really even helped make your community grow even larger.
So I think 2017 is when I met Heather. Me and Heather met at Dave and Tim in Philly for the Mando.
Oh wow!
And so we met night 2 at the Tailgate Caravan, night 2 at the Dave and Tim one. And I mean, that's where I actually officially met Rob Messina at that show.
Oh, yes.
And it was funny because I was friends with him for a while on Facebook, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together. Right. Like I knew him, but I didn't know that was Rob Messina who plays Dave. Like,
yes,
none idea. Like, I mean, I remember like being there. We're chatting, me and Rob, and then this guy comes up and is chatting with us. And here it was Brian Calhoun, who's freaking Dave's guitar guy, sitting there having a conversation because he was there setting up the chick pig, and he came over and recognized Rob, and they were friends, and he walked away, and Rob's like, you know who that was, right? Said, not a clue. And he told me, and I was like, what? So, like, yes. And then like 10 minutes after that, Rob's like, and we had a great 45-minute conversation, me and Rob. And then 10 minutes after that, he's like, all right, hold this conversation. I'll be back. And he walks over and he starts playing. I'm like, oh, that's Rob Messina. It's just like,
it's funny. Rob keeps coming up. Like, I interview people all the time, and he is one of the most common names to come up in the Dave community, Rob Messina. So, I like to always say, guys, if you're listening to this and you've never heard of Rob Messina, he lives in New Jersey, right? He lives in New Jersey. He has a project right now called the Dave Matthews Experience. Rob is a very talented musician, performer. He is at a lot of pre-show parties and things like that. And so he's really well known within people that travel a lot to see the Dave Matthews Band. And so it's funny that you bring him up, because I promise he gets brought up a lot. And so guys, be sure to check him out on social media. He's on YouTube. Definitely check out his music if you've never heard of Rob Messina.
And he does like, he'll sing he'll do like sets like at there's a winery in Jersey. Like if the timing's right, I'll go. And it's a nice little winery, and he brings out a crowd, like, and the like, but I love about Rob too is like he has Dave's mannerisms down to a freaking T. Like, you think you're talking to Dave, you think you're listening to Dave. Like, I got my mom into Dave by dragging her to a Rob show with me.
Wow.
Like, yeah, and I think, yeah, and then that's where I met Heather. We met at the Night 2, tailgate there, and our friendship bloomed real quick. Like, and I met some very interesting people in 2017, and I think that's when I like became friends with Tuffy and Tuffy Green, and I didn't meet Tuffy in person until 2018. I did Pit for the first time for Dave.
Oh, wow.
And I may go big or go home. My first time, I'm getting on that rail.
Hell yeah.
I'm on that damn rail.
If you can, do it.
I sat out there in that rail, that line all day. I cammed in. And I was one of the, when I got there and got dropped off, Tuffy recognized me from my Facebook, and like, wait, I still have the photo of me and her, and that's how we met. And Rachel Anderson, another one of my favorite people, she was in line with me. We met in that pit line that same day, and we became best of friends, like
pit pals.
all day. Yep.
That's awesome. I love that. I mean, the pit, if you ever get the chance to experience the pit, and that, I mean, it's tough. It is a lot of work. I'll admit it, because you got to line up, you got to do the whole thing, get the bracelet, get your number, whatever, however they're doing it. And then, of course, you got to get to the venue way ahead. But the benefit of it, I think at least doing it once in a lifetime is worth it, not because for me, and I guess it's everybody views the pit and what they get from it, on their own. But for me, it's just being able to see each guitar and how they're playing it, and which, how many times they switch out things. And like for Buddy, like the way he uses so many different keyboards, and getting to watch him and how he stands and he sits, and just the mannerisms of all of them, and just being able to see like exactly what they're doing, like beyond the music, I guess, but like how, I don't know, it's kind of like you're just right there, and they're doing it right for you. And that's just so completely different. It for me, I'm probably such a weird nerd, because like I'll stand there and sometimes it would be like as if I'm not hearing anything, because I'm so laser focused on somebody's hands, watching them play the guitar or whatever. It's so very different, but it is so beautiful for me.
Yeah. I mean,
that's total weirdo. I'm so weird.
I mean, it's just like, and I think it's just like progressed even stronger from that point. Like, I think that's when it's just, I started growing my community and my friends, like, further, more, and life is crazy. Life is short. Tomorrow's not a guarantee. So when it comes to Dave, you just do it. Like, you find a will, you find a way, you make it work. Like,
that's right. Where there's a Dave, there's a way.
Buy the tickets out and figure out the plans later. Like, I'll figure out how I'm getting there.
It'll all like, if you're supposed to be there, you'll be there.
And I think like 2018, because I did like in my early on when I got into Dave in 2008, I did Hartford. I went to Hartford very early into my Dave, start, and then Hershey, but that was it. Like, and then I didn't travel. Like, and then 2018 is when it got into traveling again. Somebody gave me tickets, warehouse tickets for a Bristow show.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And I had just got my mom into Dave, and it's so funny. I love telling this story. And I had just gotten her into Dave because she loved Rob. She loved it because she's like, yeah, she liked meeting all of my Dave friends, is what she called it. And because they all call her Mom. She's great.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody knows her as Mom. And 2018, it was last minute. Somebody gave me these tickets. I'm like, I gotta use them, but I'm not gonna drive to Virginia by myself. He like, oh, it was a little far stretch, and I said to my mom, I was like, I want to go on a road trip for a day. Like, and I convinced her, and we should have stayed overnight. I didn't plan that one out very well, but lessons learned. But we went, and it was the Bristow monsoon. And
no. Oh no.
Mm-hmm. And like in the beginning, we did, the tailgate caravan. So my mom was excited. She got to see Kevin and Christine, and when they were still running it on the, in the East Coast wise, now they're Southerners, but I miss them very much. But yeah, and like I remember Kevin, there's like 300 plus people at this tailgate, and Kevin clears his throat, and he's like, hey everybody, and pointing to my mom, we got a DMB virgin here. My mom was so red.
Oh my god.
And I was dead. I was dying. I was like, this is great, couldn't get better. But then we get in early, we had a warehouse early entry, because it started raining, it started thundering and lightning.
Oh,
thankfully we had seats, and we had pretty decent seats. We were covered, but pavilion style is open air on both sides. The rain was so wild. It was coming in sideways. There was tornado warnings. They're telling people to take shelter immediately. A lot of my friends that were there, they couldn't even get in the gate. They weren't letting anybody in. It was a mess. And this is my mom's very first Dave show.
Oh no.
She turns to me, water it's dripping, soaking from her hair, and she's in that mom voice. The things I do for you. Or no.
Wait a second, Mom. You came here on your own.
And then I
terrible luck.
And then I think I said to her, I was like, no, Mom, it's things we do for Dave.
Yeah, the things we do for Dave. That's right.
Wasn't my first time in the rain. Wouldn't be my last.
Not gonna be your last.
I survived Camden's monsoon in 2015. So
wow. I hate that was your mom's first show. I mean, because that does kind of put it puts a damper on it, and
I know,
no pun intended or whatever. But so did she ever go to another show?
She's been to 2 more, yeah. So she's been to 2 more. She likes when Camden does the tailgate, so she'll come for that, yeah. So, and I think I'm gonna get her to go. Yeah, she didn't go to one with me during COVID, obviously, but yeah, she went 2018. I got her to go then 2019 Camden, and then to 22. Yeah, she took last year off. I'm gonna probably do lawn. I told her, because now with no lawn chairs that you could bring in, you rent the chairs. And I tell you what, we had such a great setup this past summer, at Camden. And I used to hate the lawn at Camden for years, but as you're older, you go in when gates open. Yeah. I've always been a firm believer. You just go in when the gates open, because you don't know. Yeah, you get the best seat. You can walk around. You're not rushing. There's no lines when you go right in. And you get a great spot now on the lawn, in the very front, because my ass ain't climbing up that hill at 37. Absolutely no.
Nope. That'll be for the youngins. The youngins can go up top.
and you have a ball. And I told my mom, and she's like, all right, if we can make sure we have me a chair, I'm set. She's sitting, she's good, But yeah, I mean, and then let's see. I mean, I think that's when it took off, for traveling wise for me. Bristow, I did 2019. I did Bristow. I did the Bristow Inferno. 110 degrees. That was my 30th. That was my 30th Dave show, and my 30th I won at Pitt, and I did Pitt. But their their pit is so massive.
Yeah.
Very, very big. I didn't care where I was. Like,
Sure.
I didn't care where I was standing. I was there. If it was, if there were seats, I would probably say I was about 7 rows from the stage, if that makes sense, in the pit.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And, yeah, I mean, I did that with the late Doug Feld. That was a hard death last. He died of COVID. Yeah, he was in the Dave community. He was. I always say he was my say goodbye. Yeah. Make crazy decisions, but yeah, I mean, and then COVID just killed a lot.
It did. It did, but it was sweet when it returned, right? I mean, it was 2021 was an exciting year for the fans of the Dave Matthews Band, and I'm sure for the band too, just because I'm sure they missed playing just as much as we missed listening to them. It's definitely a two-sided relationship here. I think the band loves what they're doing, or otherwise they would not keep doing it, because I promise you that none of them are hurting in the financial department. So I think if they were just done, they'd be like, okay, we're done. But they're not. They're signing up for more. They're traveling around the world. They're doing so much. So let's talk just briefly about your podcast, why you decided to do that and how that worked. And then we'll talk about the 2024 tour dates, because those came out today. And so that was a hot topic on Facebook, just like your feed, my feed was nothing but repeats of people posting the calendar, and it was just like calendar. I was like, well, should I post it? I don't know. Like, might as well. Everybody else did too, right? So let's talk about the number 41 show. Just, I want to make sure that's because that is part of your journey.
Yeah, and I'm considering bringing it back. Hopefully if I can pull it off again. But so I never even thought of a podcast, to be honest. I didn't even know what a podcast was. Yeah, but the idea was brought to me by a friend who was running, the great Frankie James. I'm sure everybody's listening knows Frankie from one story or another. But he was the one, he gave me the idea, and I'm like, you know what? Why not? I sit here and talk about Dave pretty much every day. Or if not, I listen to Dave. There's a day it goes by, I don't have Dave on my mind. I know much about this band. Why not have a show about it? And then
why not?
I brought Heather in. I gave her the idea, and she was on board. And we did a whole different thing. You have the fan aspect of it. Mm-hmm. We did the tour aspect of it, like where we broke down the tours and the stats and stuff, and we feature fans of the week, and we would discuss nonprofits that are close and near and dear to us, and near and dear to the band, and I mean, it ran for 2 summer tours, and it was, I think we did pretty successful with it. Timing just, life got in the way, timing, scheduling, we had to, put it to bed for a bit, but, why not bring it back? I mean, it brought me joy. I know it brought a bunch of people joy when they, got to watch our show. And, I need to bring that joy back, not only for me, but for
your listeners, for the listeners. Yeah, because I mean, here's one thing I know: there's not enough podcasts about the Dave Matthews Band. I mean, I think even when your show was up, I think I knew of 5 that had ever been ever.
Yeah.
And they were, but the beautiful part about them is you could listen to all of them because none of them were the same. They each chose to break down a different part of the band. And that's the beauty of the content we have of a band that's been playing for 33 years is we have so much information. It can be twisted and turned and bent and explored in all different ways. And so I hope that, if it's meant to be, that I hope that your show comes back, because I know it was something that you loved. And, you and I have definitely both talked about how amazing it is to have a creative outlet, something that we're passionate about. and something to kind of just feed that energy to, because our Dave energy is not seasonal, right? It's not
No.
only during tour season. We have it 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. And so we need a place to put all of that energy into. And that's what I'm doing with this podcast. I know that that's what you did with yours. And so it was just a good release, right? Of some of that pent up energy we have for Dave, because we can't have it all the time, right? And like, I need Dave, like I need food. Like I need it.
and I look at it this way. The coolest thing about Dave Matthews, band, and it goes beyond just the band. It's it's the community that we have, the people we have met along the way. We could literally drive across the country and probably have a free place to stay at, because we have that many people in our community that will welcome us.
Yeah.
Like, just today, like, we're gonna get into the tour, but I had Jimmy Walker, like, because I'm debating on he commented because I'm probably most likely gonna do Raleigh and Virginia Beach.
Yay.
Yeah, and Jimmy Walker reached. He's like, he's like, I have a pretty full house. He's like, but you're more than welcome to crash here if you need it. Like, my couch is pretty big.
Aw, I love him.
Love him so much. But like, it's just like it's that, like, it's what you do for our community. I mean, what me and Tuffy did, for Madison Square Garden. I seen Mary Sproul post, like, because she was coming up last minute. She needed a place to crash. And me and Tuffy had our hotel room already set, paid for, and I sent her a screenshot of the post, and Tuffy within seconds said yes. I said, okay.
Yeah.
And it made it made Mary's day. Like, when I called her, and like, we did Reverb together at Camden, like, but like, it's just simple as like that. It's like, it's just doing something so little that means so much to somebody else,
That's
like,
right.
And it's what we do. And like, we did it for Heather. We made sure she got to come to her 50th show. Like, we put a little, message out there. Somebody, like, if anybody can help. And, we had the generosity of our community reach out and paid it forward. And Heather got to go to her 50th show and even made sure she had a poster to come,
Yeah. Let's segue just slightly in it when we're running low on time, so we don't have much time to talk about this, but let's segue just about that. And, let's talk about the generosity of the fans and different things that fans are doing to pay back and pay forward and all of these things. And you talk so highly about the Tailgate Caravan. Can you tell me just a little bit about, because unfortunately we have not had them on the show. That's definitely a goal of mine, because I want to tell that fan story. I feel like they have such an amazing story. So tell the listeners, if they've never heard of them, tell the listeners a little bit about who they are and what they represent.
Sure, absolutely. So Tailgate Caravan was it was formed by 4 friends that enjoyed tailgating to a little different level, with better food, better drinks, but let's kick up a notch and let's donate to charity. And it really kicked off. And they've been doing that for about over 10 years, I believe. And it started on a rooftop in Camden, like, literally. And it's gotten so big, and they take their tailgates on the road, and they've even gone out to the gorge,
Wow.
And they work their asses off to do something so amazing. They're behind the scenes with it. They're cooking, they're pumping out the beers, they're doing raffles and everything, and every ounce of money, every little penny goes to charity. Like, they'll do something local, but I know we always work with NAMI for mental health awareness. It's a local chapter here. And, we work with NAMI, we work with Feeding America. I know that they do the music center for Charlottesville that days.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, they do amazing things, and they have the purest hearts of gold. These people are wonderful people. Kevin, Christine, Jen, her husband, Justin, Steve, like it's an incredible crew of people, and I'm honored that they're my friends,
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And there are honestly countless, the caravan has such a big, because they've been doing it for so long, but there are countless of other groups that are really paying it forward
Mm-hmm.
in big ways as far as charity goes. And so, the fans of the Dave Matthews Band are deserving of going down in music history for the work that they've done, all because of a band. And so
Yeah.
let's talk briefly about, of course, today was a big day. Today was tour announcement day. I don't think anybody knew exactly when that was going to happen. As the average fan, we didn't know.
No.
We had heard rumors, things were, swirling, but they always do every year.
Mm-hmm.
There's always rumors and chat rooms chat rooms. Did I just date myself back to 1997?
Can we go back? Can we go back to AOL days?
Oh my God, that was so lame. Okay, so let's talk about it. So the boys get off the road in May, finishing up their Europe tour early May.
It's like a 3-week break. I was actually looking at that earlier today, and I was like, huh.
Wild. These guys are not done. These guys are not done. They are working. Okay, so we start up the tour. We're going to open up the whole tour in Tampa, Florida.
How about that?
A lot of people are excited because right after Tampa is the West Palm Beach weekend. And if you've been around the Dave Matthews Band for a while, or it's West Palm Beach show is one of those shows that you hear about, right? Because the energy there is palpable. And so I'm so excited that they're starting out this way. I didn't count up how many spots they're hitting this year. People say that this is maybe a scaled down version from years of the past, but also we have to account for the fact that they are spending so much time in Europe that, they needed a break.
Well, and I noted there's more two-nighters this tour.
Yeah, man, my God. I mean, I'm like, let's just turn this into every time gets a 2-night. I love 2 nights. I love 3 nights. Somebody was telling me the other day, it might have been Andy Mendoza, which Andy Mendoza is the editor of the show, but also a big fan of the number 41 show. He loves all of this. He loves all of this. So I want to say that he said that maybe like Texas used to get either double or triple nights. I mean, they used to get a bunch of stuff that they don't now.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that they're kicking it off in Florida this year. And then
I'm excited.
Yeah,
the weather will be nice.
Yeah,
it will be nice.
And Texas, Texas Two Step was always the opener the past couple of years, at least the tour. And there's a couple ones back on. We got Raleigh back, and then Virginia Beach, which I decided, I'm going to do Raleigh, and I'm making it work.
Yeah, make it work. Make it work. I wish I could. I'm not going to be able to go to Raleigh this year. I had, do you know Matt Ross? He's a great friend of mine. And he messaged me today and was like, hey, you coming to Raleigh? I was like, man, I got some first world problems. I'm going to be in Alaska then, so I can't. But I want to be in Raleigh. but I'd rather be in Alaska. I'll be completely honest.
I did Raleigh in 21. So
me too.
I did.
That was the best year.
I did the tour opener. Yeah. Never in my life did I ever think I'd do the tour opener and a tour closer in one tour. I did, but I did I went on a 7-show road trip because COVID took that away from us. So Raleigh just holds a special place in my heart.
Always.
And so I'm going to do it. And then I figure Raleigh and Virginia Beach is a 3.5-hour drive from Raleigh.
Oh.
So it won't be as bad as a drive back home. So.
Not at all. I mean, I would drive. I always say I've got a 8 to 10 hour radius around where I'm at, and that's how far I'll drive to see Dave. I'll fly. Don't get me wrong, I'll fly, but I like to drive because there's so much flexibility. Like when you get there, you've got your car. You're not trying to Uber everywhere. Like it's just so nice. But I agree. Like
my goal is to hit my 50th. And it's going to happen.
Oh, yes. So, you're at 47? You got this. Number 50. Let me know. Remind me. We'll celebrate. Because that's a big one.
Yeah,
It really is.
probably be most likely Camden night 1 will probably be my 50th because I'm
Oh
just
my
gonna
God.
do the Raleigh, Virginia Beach, and then Camden shows,
Well,
and
I think
then
that's perfect.
if MSG comes back again,
Yeah, you never know. I mean, there's always that, right? Because this is the schedule's ending, of course, again at Gorge. Am I right? No, or do they go somewhere after?
No,
Hell, I
they
can.
skipped
They
down
end in Gorge, right?
no
Okay.
Cali shows this year coming. I'm kind of shocked. I mean, and then East Troy shows are back.
I know. I'm sad about that too because I got involved in early rumors that said they were going to be there July 4th. So, of course, I called up to the Alpine Valley Ski Resort and made my reservation for the 4th of July weekend. And I was so proud of myself until like last week when the rumors started going, they're not going to be there for July 4th. They're going to be there at the end of June. And I was like, fuck. Because I sure did try to call. And of course, it was all booked up.
Yes.
It was completely booked up.
SPAC is the 4th of July weekend. Like
I know.
I'm shocked on that one because it's a big.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be crazy but maybe the horse races won't be going on at the same time because when they did SPAC, or maybe every time Dave comes to town, it seems like the horse races are always going on. And so that makes that city just like wildly busy.
It's kind of cool, that.
But
I love SPAC.
I mean, I like it. I love SPAC. I do. As long as I don't have to be in the lawn. Never, ever will I go to the lawn.
I think I told you when what you were gonna love SPAC because it's just magical. There's something.
It is magical.
It really is.
I do. I remember saying the stupidest thing about SPAC. I was like, you remember in Mary Poppins where they jump into the painting? That's what SPAC felt like. And I don't.
It's like you're in your own world. Like,
yes, it was so pretty and magical. But then also when you're trying to like focus on the music, you cannot do that from the lawn.
Nope. That's why I refused to do lawn when I went back to SPAC in 22. I managed to get in, inside both nights. I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm not doing that lawn ever again now.
Never, ever.
That's bad
lawn. Ever. And if you've never done it, don't ever do it.
your feet will hurt for about 5 days after. And that's not from dancing. It's just from standing on that incline of a hill. Oh,
I don't know. Whatever, to each their own. So let's go into our last little segment because I really know that this is something that you've done in the past. And to be completely honest, this is a really smart way to get to travel because I know there's a lot of people that may listen to this podcast and go, wait a second. I cannot even understand these Dave Matthews Band fans because they go to like 100 shows. That is not what every fan does. Let me make that super clear. But if you did want to travel a lot with the band, but the financial aspect of it is something that may get in the way, there are some great ways to volunteer, which not only are you, doing something for the greater good, you're also going to receive a free ticket to this. Yep. So I know that this is something that you've helped do. So talk about briefly like your volunteer time and who you volunteered with.
So I got to do my first ever volunteer with Reverb this past, last summer. I did Camden night 2. And to do like your home, that's, Camden's my home venue. So, and when you're on a very little to non-budget, but you still manage to do these shows, you find a way to volunteers. One thing is always just good. It's good for your soul. Like,
right.
It makes you a better person. It makes you realize, like, you're doing this for the community and saving the environment. I mean, Reverb, is, if people are not familiar that are listening to your, show, Reverb is the reusable water bottles you buy when you come into a venue. But what people don't realize, each water bottle plants 10,000 trees. You're saving the environment and you're reproducing and you're putting more out. And the best is you bring that water bottle with you at all tour and you're set.
Yeah. Because water's expensive.
It's free. You got to hike.
If you got your cup. Yeah. I mean, it can be free, but water.
I'm sorry, I'm not paying $5 for a can of liquid death.
It's wild.
Liquid death sounds like it's alcohol, not water.
I didn't know what it was for the longest time, and I was like, everybody has this new beverage. I didn't even know it was water for the longest time.
Canned water. But yeah, I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's not hard. It's a tedious thing to get in for Reverb, but my advice to anybody who's looking to volunteer for any Dave show, check the reverb.org. I believe they're on, and you'll check once they have the information up for the tour. They'll have a little thing on there that says volunteer, and then you can fill out your information, and you write a little bio in there on why you want to volunteer, and telling your story about why you love Dave so much will literally get you in there. Like, and
you go.
And you get a free ticket to the show. Like, it's cool, and you're done you're done before, the band takes the stage, which is pretty cool. You get to go in the venue before anything's open. It's really cool. Like, it's a cool experience. Like, I got to, I have a picture I took of Camden when I got to go in, and they're showing you what to do and walk around these bottles and stuff. And I took a picture of the stage, like everything empty, like the pit and everything. Because it was just like, this is what it is before, and it's a cool experience. And I'm gonna try to get myself on the list for Raleigh and Virginia Beach if I can. I mean, if not, I'm still gonna backup plan, obviously. But
sure, you're getting in. If you have to climb the fence, you're like,
hell or high water. I did not get to travel last tour.
I mean, would it be that bad if you? Yes, it would be. But I'm willing to go to jail. No, I'm not. Dave Matthews Band. Climbing over a fence, would you go to jail?
Probably. I mean, I did.
Get a ticket? I don't know.
I did sit in, I camped out on a sidewalk in 3 weeks before COVID shut the world down signing in New York City. So.
Oh my God, that's right.
Stranger things have happened.
Oh my God, that's right. The things we do for Dave, right? Your mom, remind her of that. Say, it's not the things you do for me, Mom, or for me. It's the things we do for Dave.
Yeah.
A bunch of crazy shit, but it's all worth it, right? Because look at the benefit. Not only have we had this amazing music for so long, it's an unbelievable amount of time, to be completely honest. I mean, there's not a lot of bands that can say that they've been producing music for 33 years and that they've had the same 35,000 fans follow them for those 33 years.
And then another cool thing with Reverb too, it's not just Dave Matthews either. Like, if anybody's ever interested to volunteer at a show, they got all different kinds of concerts up. They're doing it for Pink this year too.
Oh yes, that's right.
There's all different. Like, Billie Eilish is on there, and Pink, and a lot of bands that we love and follow too. And Reverb, you can volunteer. It's a pretty cool experience, and you get a free show out of it. So
that's right. So guys, definitely be looking at that. That's not only a way to pay it forward, but you get a free show. So there are ways to see Dave. There are creative ways to see Dave. And if you need more help on things to do at a Dave Matthews Band concert, definitely check out one of those groups that we talked about earlier on Facebook. Of course, Facebook, Instagram has lots of Dave content too, if you're interested in that. There's a lot of groups too, just different. It's Instagram. But guys, if you're not following the podcast on social media, I invite you to do that. Of course, we're on Facebook. We have a group, The Space Between Podcast. Then, of course, we're on Instagram at the space between _POD. And most recently, we're on TikTok under the Space Between Podcast. And that's super fun. I have really grown to love TikTok. Are you on TikTok, Melissa?
I mean, I'll watch some, but I mean, I'm more like on the Instagram videos.
I love it all. There's not enough time for social media, but and only recently have I just had to, because I'm marketing a show, right? So I'm let's figure out this TikTok, and oh my God, I'm having way too much fun on TikTok. It's so much fun. So guys, if you're listening to this, be sure and do that. And guys, if you didn't know, if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast app, just know that you can watch this video, and Melissa has sent us in different pictures throughout her journey. And so that's a way that you can visually see Melissa's story, is by checking out our YouTube channel, which is just simply under the Space Between Podcast. So Melissa, thank you so much for being on the show again. I want to invite everybody, if if you didn't know, I have like almost 80 shows out now. And Melissa was on, have you been on just one or two others? Just one. Okay, so I want to say it was early 2023. It was right after the release of our most recent, or the Dave Matthews Band most recent album. And so we broke down monsters, and so that was really good. We did a deep dive into that song, and so be sure to check out the episode where Melissa is my co-host for that show. So Melissa, thank you for coming back. Definitely stay tuned to Melissa is definitely going to get the number 41 show back up. I can feel it in my bones. And so if you do, we'll have you back on the show and we'll talk about it more. Okay.
Stay tuned, guys, because I think a 41 show might come back on. So.
Yep. Well, I cannot wait. So again, Melissa, thank you for being on the show. Guys, be sure if you are watching this on YouTube to do all the things that you hear your 11-year-old say, like and subscribe, because that really is important. I know it sounds so silly, but apparently it's important. So be sure to subscribe, like all the stuff. And so guys, be sure to share this podcast with a fellow Dave Matthews Band fan. And if you are interested in sharing your story, your journey with this band who's been loving on us for 33 years, definitely hit me up on any of the socials, or you can email me simply at kissonthelipsmire@gmail.com. Until next Friday, guys, peace, love, and Dave Matthews Band. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.